What is up, YouTube? It's Coffee on the vid. Tapping back in and listen to say it's a crazy world we're living in these days. Sounds like such a cliche thing to say, but for real, it is insane times we're living through. I don't know if evil forces are at play, just trying to end society and humanity or what, but it truly is just some insane times we're living through. And I don't know if you guys saw this. Trump pushing this line heavy, saying he wants to get in office and get back in office and end this horrific stuff that's going on.
California has recently passed the brave new so-called sanctuary laws for gender-confused children. Under this horrific new scheme, children from other states can now be taken to California, where state law will override their parents' rights and allow the children to have barbaric and irreversible sex change operations against the wishes of their parents from other states. It's almost hard to believe I'm saying this to you. Our country has gone bad. That this can be happening is not even believable. It's sick. The state of California has no right to take your children away from parents and to sterilize them, which is exactly what they're doing. I will stop it immediately when I'm elected president on my first day. Upon my inauguration, we will aggressively challenge these perverted California laws that strip parents of their rights and that encourage minors to be transported across state lines for sexual mutilation purposes. Not believable, is it? Those involved in such activity will be charged with a host of federal laws, including laws against kidnapping, sex trafficking, child abuse, and the deprivation of civil rights. We will not allow this madness to continue. That's why my administration will prosecute anyone who engages in such crimes. I will protect your youth. I will protect your children. I will protect the right of parents to make decisions on behalf of their children. And I will protect the United States of America, our country that we love, our country that's in trouble. We're in a failing nation. This nation is failing. We're not going to let it fail any longer. We're going to make America great again. Thank you very much.
So check this out, man. Not even speaking specifically to what's being discussed here. In many ways right now, society, evil forces at play, demons, I don't know what exactly it is to put it in plain terms, but parenting is trying to be taken away from the parents on many levels. It's insane, So everyone out there who's got a family, never let your guard down. Like, parent to parent, it's crazy out here, man. The evil ish going on in society is mind blowing. And don't let your guard down. Other parents out there, don't let your guard down for a second. Don't let no one run no game on you or none of that. Stand up for yourself. It's crazy out here. Society has changed in many ways, but the fact that parenting could be taken away from parents' parental rights is mind blowing. So again, that's not even specifically tied to what we're speaking about here. Just everyone, be careful, be on point. But what do you guys think about this? Had you heard about this before? And I don't know if you see in the comments here, you see Trump says, California has recently passed depraved new so-called sanctuary laws for GENDER confused children. We will not allow this madness to continue. That's why my administration will prosecute anyone who engages in such crimes. And I don't know if you noticed in the comments, Caitlyn Jenner, who we know most definitely is a very well-known TRANS individual, says, happy to help lead this effort in the next Trump administration. This is simple. Parental rights. Don't take advantage of young, innocent, vulnerable children. So just if anyone was wondering where Caitlyn Jenner stood on this, not that anyone would be specifically, but we know obviously, again, Caitlyn Jenner, formerly known as Bruce Jenner, situation that was covered heavily in the media, and a well-known individual who is, again, TRANS. And then someone else says, a decade ago, kids were playing with Legos and playing outside, not worrying about this BS nonsense. And it's so wild, man. Again, that kind of ties into what I was saying. Like, society is just changing so much. Y'all remember that? Like, when I was coming up, man, we went to school, played with Legos, action figures, went outside, played tag, played some sports or whatever. And, caught some shows on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or whatever, stuff like this was never even thought of. And the idea of not listening to your parents, like, don't get me wrong, we all didn't listen all the time, but again, it's just this whole parental rights ish, just insane, man. I'm just truly flabbergasted and befuddled by all this, but it just shows you the way society is changing. Like, this wasn't even something when I was a youth that would ever even come into your mind. Again, we were just being kids. Now, this kind of stuff being out there, and the youth sees it, it just changes society forever. Like, that's wild to just think that this is something that as a kid coming up, you're going to hear about and think about it. It just kind of blows my mind. But speaking of all this, when I hear this, I'm like, can this really be? Is this really going on? Are kids really being allowed to essentially just leave their parents and go to another state and do this without their parents' consent? Can this really be? Is this really what it is? Is this happening? Are parental rights being taken away from the parents? And it seems like Trump is talking about some new sanctuary laws, tied to all this that are being passed. But I did find some stuff previously about some other states. I believe Washington State, in some other states where sanctuary laws were being put into place before or whatever. But I found this one situation I wanted to share with y'all. This is a totally different situation in a sense, but it ties into this, where a mother in Texas was actually allowing their child to start this process, who was a minor, which everyone comment and let me know what you think about that and just about this situation as a whole. But it seems this mother ran off to California.
A new law protects families from out of state who come to California seeking medical care for their transgender kids. State Senator Scott Wiener of San Francisco authored the law. It's in response to growing efforts in red states to prevent access to puberty blockers or hormones, and even criminalize parents and doctors who try to help kids transition. KQED Health correspondent Leslie McClurg has more.
After decades of building a life in Texas, a mother suddenly worried she might be investigated for child abuse.
We were stunned that it was no longer safe for us to be there.
She requested we not use her name because earlier this year, Texas Governor Greg Abbott ordered Family Protective Services to investigate parents with transgender kids. The mother started hearing stories about children who were pulled out of classrooms and interrogated,
with their parents not being there. And these are children that have only socially transitioned. All they asked for was to be called a different pronoun. That's terrifying.
Her own 12-year-old daughter socially transitioned 3 years ago when she asked her family and friends to use feminine pronouns.
And so we sat down and talked to our kid. We gave her a little card to go to school with that listed her rights and told her what to do if somebody came to investigate us.
But the family could not relax. They sold their home, and this fall they packed up all their belongings and moved to Southern California.
It feels very good to not feel like you're in danger, on that really critical place of like our family being ripped apart.
They feel safe under a new law authored by State Senator Scott Wiener. It ensures families can access hormones or puberty blockers in California, and it shields families from investigations in other states.
We are going to provide them with refuge, and we're not going to send them back, and we're not going to honor subpoenas, and our law enforcement is not going to enforce the laws of Texas and Alabama criminalizing these families.
Leaders in 21 states are pushing laws that would restrict medical care for transgender youth, like Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida.
You don't disfigure
10, 12, 13-year-old kids based on gender dysphoria. I think these doctors need to get sued for what's happening. I'm sorry.
Or lawmakers in Alabama.
2 controversial bills are now law in Alabama.
Governor Ivey signing a law banning medication for transgender youth, and doctors who break it face criminal penalties.
Many of these efforts are tied up in court. Nevertheless, families are panicking because kids who are already on hormones or puberty blockers may lose access to their medication.
We want these treatments to not be happening on minors because they're permanent.
Greg Burt is with the conservative Christian California Family Council. He worries kids will regret transitioning.
We do not assume that your body is the problem. We think it's much more logical to encourage young people to try and get their minds to match their bodies.
Yet the standard of care for kids who are really distressed and diagnosed with gender dysphoria does include medical interventions. But it's not just the content of the new California law that Burt opposes. He also argues that it violates the Constitution.
There could be litigation, both with respect to abortion and with respect to gender-affirming care.
Jessica Levinson is a professor at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles.
But I think the weight of the law indicates that states are separate sovereigns if and until there is a national standard that indicates nobody can obtain gender-affirming care or nobody can obtain an abortion. The law allows for that patchwork.
That patchwork is crucial to Kathy Molig's work. She is the executive director of Trans Family Support Services in San Diego.
The politicians should not be making medical decisions for anybody, nor should they be making parental decisions for anybody.
A survey from the Trevor Project, a suicide prevention organization, found that 45% of transgender youth have considered killing themselves in the last year. About a decade ago, Molig helped her 11-year-old access puberty blockers.
My son would not still be alive if we waited to 18. He already was in so much distress and so completely miserable. His body was becoming something that he knew he was not.
Today, she says her son is thriving in college, studying theology. Yet there's little to no data on whether youth who transition regret that decision later. For the Molig family, their only regret is waiting as long as they did.
So y'all heard that that mother lived in Texas and I don't know, was allowing her minor child to start the process. This is so crazy to even talk about again. You know what I mean? Like, not typically the kind of stuff I cover on this channel, but it's just so insane to see this. And then the political aspects to it all again. You know, coffee doesn't get super political, but just in some of the recent discussions we were having, you know, it's like in the world of politics, in the news, it seems there's always a situation behind a situation, you know, but I want to know, do people out there think Trump, if he does get in office, really will stop this and prosecute all these doctors and people involved in all this ish? But this mother sounds like was afraid that her child was going to off themselves if they didn't allow them to do this. And she was fearing in Texas that they were going to take her kids away from her or whatever. So she fled to Texas. And in this situation, that's a parent there with the kid. This makes me think of Dwayne Wade. I don't know. You know, I just personally feel like individuals should be fully grown before make these kind of decisions. Y'all feel me on that? But I did find some stuff though saying that there's these places where in California and some other states where if youth shows up, they're supposed to within 72 hours contact the parents and say, hey, your kid is here and this is going on. But with some of these newer laws, I guess if the kid says that they're estranged from the family or fear them, kind of reminds me of I knew some Russians that came over here on work visas and didn't want to go back to Russia. So they just didn't go back home. And when they did get taken into custody down the road, they said, I fear going back to Russia. And some of them were able to stay here and got political asylum. It sounds like the youth are being able to do that in California. Say, oh, I'm estranged from my parents, or I fear they're going to abuse me or whatever. And when that happens in that 72-hour period, they don't have to contact the parents. They can contact social workers that specifically deal with this kind of ish, man. Like, isn't this just absolutely bonkers that this is what's going on in the world? Like, for real, man. I swear, I just never knew this was such a thing, like, what do y'all think? Has this always been going on? I really don't remember this when I was growing up or just over my lifetime. Like, don't get me wrong, there might have been a few instances that there was individuals who, I don't know, wanted to change who they were or something, but it just seemed like few and far in between. I don't know, like, over the past 10 years or so, it's like this is just in the news so much, man. Like, is this, like, where did this all come from? I don't know. This is just mind-blowing. But it seems like, because again, when I hear this, Trump speaking about this in the whole political sides of everything, I'm like, is this for real deal really going on? And it seems like in California, there really is some ish at play where this is going on. It's bonkers, man. So let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you think about Trump. Aside from this, if you really believe he has a chance getting back in office. And again, it's a crazy world we're living in. Let parents be parents. And again, parents, families, be careful. Protect your loved ones. Don't let no one, hurt your family with all this craziness going on. What do you guys think? Demonic forces at play out here or what? It's Coffee signing out, y'all. Peace.